eventually if your karma is not supporting an event, then there is a high chance that in spite of all the things pointing towards an event, it may not happen.
Hello, namaskar and adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan, once more with you from your very own channel Astro Assurance. One of the important areas of astrology that few astrologers do, but a lot of astrologers in Kerala down south in India surely follow even to this day, and it is a more open practice there or often followed practice there in Kerala and with some astrologers than in the other areas of India, and this is the Prashna astrology, or the astrology based on the question. Prashna in Hindi or Sanskrit means question. So this is question based astrology. How is this Prashna astrology followed? It is generally followed when no details are present of, say for example, a person's date of birth, his place of birth or time of birth. That means there are many variables and there is not certainty. Then a horoscope cannot be drawn for a person. Then it is often the Prashna astrology which is used by some astrologers, especially if they are proficient in Prashna astrology. They use it to find out whether there will be a positive outcome of an event. For example, I know a time when I was sitting with an astrologer from Kerala, and I had gone to Kerala about 15-20 years back for a holiday with my family, and I was introduced to a Kerala astrologer through a common friend. And so while talking to him, he told me, and I was just checking with techniques of Prashna or astrology or other techniques used by him, and he said that one gentleman came to him with he was giving an example how to use it, and he was giving this example of a gentleman who came to check with this astrologer and asked him that my son wants to marry this girl, and I want to know whether this marriage will take place or not, because I am opposing this, but the boy is telling me I'll elope and I'll go off with this girl. The girl is not from this city, she's from some other city. I don't know much about her. All I know is about her name and her father's name. That's all I know. So the astrologer used the girl's name and the father's name and immediately created a horoscope for that particular time, which means at the time the question is posed to the astrologer or the question comes to light, the idea of the particular mail is open. Even if the mail is sent earlier, at that time the kundi is created, the horoscope is created, and from that horoscope the outcome of the event, whether it is going to be auspicious, inauspicious, will happen, will not happen, whether there will be obstacles, whether the event will have longevity or not, will it finish early, and so many things are calculated. So from that the astrologer told the father that yes, this marriage will happen, it will be a good marriage that will happen, and the girl will bring luck. The obstacle will be from the family of the boy, not from the family of the girl, because the 8th house was creating problems, which was in-laws were creating challenges. So the father realized that he was unnecessarily creating challenges in a sense, wish to get married to the girl. So he went back. So he told the son, okay, no worry, I promise you I'm not going to put any impediments. I want to have more details of the girl, her horoscope and her details, so that I can do a deep dive and doing a proper horoscope matching and allowing you to get married. So Prashna helps in many cases. Now Prashna comes from a treatise which was written again centuries back, which is the Prashna Sangraha, and this has been expounded and talked about even by Parashar or talked about by Varahamira. Many other astrologers have also talked about the Prashna, used Prashna also, and included the technique of Prashna also in their own treatises, in their own works as well. So let's jump into and see how
if you want to validate an event, say for example you want to validate whether a particular event will happen or not, for example whether you will get a promotion or not, whether you will get a scope to travel to foreign lands or not, whether a certain marriage auspicious event will take place or not, whether a business will has a scope of getting successful or not, whether the business will be launched at a particular time or not. So very specific queries when they are posed, and if there is a time included whether this thing will get happen in this particular year or not, then Prashna comes to good use. So let's jump into and see how Prashna, different houses, when the Prashna is created, they point towards and showcase or tell us how a certain event may fold or unfold. For example, one of the stanzas from the Prashna Sangraha says, marriage will not take place if the afflicted moon occupies a even sign from the Prashna Lagna or the Arudha Lagna, and if the query is put during the time of the waning moon. Which means if a Prashna Lagna is created, that means the Lagna is created when the question is posed, and if moon is afflicted and an even sign from the ascendant or even from the Arudha Lagna, then the event may not take place, or the marriage will not take place. And this is also related to if moon goes into, say for example, the 8th house. This is also related to the longevity of the event itself, whether the event will have a longevity or will sustain, especially if the 8th house and the Lagna is getting any connection, or the Lagna Lord goes into the 8th house, especially in an affliction, then the marriage may quickly dissolve or may not sustain for a long period of time. Similarly for children, the 5th house, the 7th house, Jupiter's placement, because Jupiter is the Karaka of children, they become very important in the Prashna astrology, because Jupiter is the Karaka of children, 5th house is about children, and 7th house is about the union of two people coming together to make children, to produce children. So each house in the Prashna astrology or Prashna Kundi is very important. The first house will give you the overall outcome of the event, and whether the event will be successful or not, and whether the event will give greater precedence or will help in the overall stature of the person, the growing in stature of the person, the growing in respect of the person or not. The second house will give whether there will be enough nourishment from the event, and whether the event itself will nourish. For example, if it's a business, will the money come in? If it's a marriage, then will the nourishment come from the tribe, the immediate family or not? The third house will say how the communication will happen between the couple or in the business, and whether there will be greater effort required to sustain the event, to sustain the marriage, to sustain the business. The fourth house will tell you whether there will be peace and harmony while you are doing that activity. So in the marriage, will there be peace, harmony, and whether there will be an opportunity to grow assets, whether it will be a lucky union, whether it will be lucky partnership, whether the event will be lucky. The fifth house will tell you whether there will be increase in the progeny or outcome or growth in the outcome. So if it's business and if the good money is coming in, which the second house shows, the fifth house will show whether there will be more money which will be coming in later on also, which means exponential growth of the outcome of the business or the outcome of the event. The sixth house will tell you whether there are going to be any obstructions from inimical forces or because of debts, or would you require debts to sustain the business, or after the marriage whether the couple will get into debts, whether they will get into loans, or they may get into litigations, they may get into challenges. Will there be ill health of any of the partners which may spoil the partnership? The seventh house shows whether the union will be strong, whether the union will come together in auspicious circumstances or not, and whether it will be supported by others or not, especially family members and extended family. The eighth house shows the longevity of the event, whether the event will be sustaining for a long period of time, or there will be sudden challenges, sudden obstructions because of either the event not coming together or the event not being able to sustain, or every now and then the event going through obstructions, ups and downs, the roller coaster ride because of challenges happening every now and then. The ninth house will show whether there is going to be more gains coming in the union or through the union or not, or whether they would require long distance travel. Would it require the intervention of religious events? Will it require skilled people, learned people also getting in? For example, will the couple, if they are getting married, require from time to time a wise person who comes in and counsels them from time to time, because they are not able to sort out their own issues among themselves. The 10th house will show how their karma will play out, whether it will help them in overall getting higher name, success in the society or not, and whether there will be good outcome of the results or not, whether they will get the acknowledgement of their superiors in the union or not, or in the business, for example, or in a work, for example. The 11th house will show whether there is social acceptance or not, society will accept the union or not, or the society will bless it or not, or will the couple after the marriage will be welcomed by society or not, and whether there will be societal gains and large gains. Will their wishes and desires come true or not? Or if it's about business, will the business be able to reach far and wide? Will there be higher success in the business? Will there be mass acceptance of the business, and whether there will be mass support of the business? The 12th house will show whether there will be losses or excesses in the particular event that is coming, or the result of the union, or result of the business, or maybe any event that you are talking about. Will the couple be, for example, excluded or feel apart or left alone to themselves because society is not accepting them, or there are losses in the union, losses in the business, or whether it will require them to go long distance, or they may go abroad, or they may away, or they may move away from their place of birth also or not, and whether there will be any spiritual blessing or not, which the 12th house represents, whether the zodiac will bless them or not, whether the zodiac will support them or not. So friends, when we are looking at into any event from your astrological chart, also see, not always, it's not required. If your astrological chart, your Navamsa is giving enough pointers, to a large extent you may say that this event shows greater promise of happening, but from time to time Prashna can also be created just to make sure, especially if there seems to be too many roadblocks in the event and you really want to know whether there is any chance of the result coming through. Prashna helps about 10 to 20% in validating the event when you have a horoscope created, but Prashna is more often than not used when there is no other information possible or is not available, and so Prashna is created. Now there is another thing which is karma also playing into it. The same astrologer with whom I was sitting and talking about Prashna and learning, trying to get some techniques from him, he talked about an event where there were two business partners in his town and they fell apart because of some reason, and one of the business partners wanted to get back with the other business partner, but he was not getting an opportunity. He got to know that the other business partner's son's wedding is scheduled for a certain date in the same month, and he wanted to know from the astrologer whether he will get an invite or not, because he was supposed to go on tour and he wanted to stay back and not spoil the chance of again getting back together with his business partner. So the astrologer looked into, he created a Prashna for that event because he didn't know the date of birth of the son and when it is happening. He didn't know the exact time of the marriage which is happening. So he just created a Prashna and he saw that the Lagna Lord is sitting in the 10th house of work or profession. Then the 10th Lord is sitting in the 7th house of partnership. The 3rd Lord of communication is placed in the 11th house of societal gains, societal connections, friendships. So he said 3rd house means communication, sitting in the 11th house. Then your Lagna is sitting in the 10th house of work. 10th Lord is sitting in the 7th house of partnership. Yeah, I'm sure the event invitation will be received by you. This gentleman goes off thinking that the event invitation will come to him. However, when the day arrived for the wedding and he didn't get the invite, he went off. He was very dejected and he went off on his tour. 1 or 2 days late, but anyways he went off. Then when he came back, he went to the astrologer and he said, you told me that I will get the invitation. The astrologer re-looked into it, he said, yes, absolutely, I'm sure you must have got the invite. So this gentleman goes to his home and he asks his spouse, his wife, did we get any envelope, any invitation from anyone? She said there was some glittering card, invitation looking like card which came and I put it on your table, where I keep all your communications. I kept it. Didn't you get it? He said, I didn't find it. So then they tried to search around the room and they realized that on the same day when the invite had come, that day there was a lot of breeze which was blowing through the town, and there was a chance that the invite may have fallen off the table and may have gone into any corners of the room. So they tried to search and they found that under the very sofa which was next to the table, there they found the invite, which means the breeze had blown off the invite from the table and had got under the sofa, and then this person got the invite. He went back to the astrologer and he said, see, I got the invite which was under the sofa, I didn't get it. That's when the astrologer told him, if in your karma it was not slated, you patch up with this businessman, you meet him because of the invite, you're going to his wedding and then getting patched up, it was not supposed to be done, and so because your karma came in the way, so the invite came to you, yet you could not go to the event, you couldn't patch up with a businessman. So the karma also plays a large part, and that's why there is no guarantee in astrology. You create the chart, you look at divisional charts, you do prashna, whatever. Eventually, if your karma is not supporting an event, then there is a high chance that in spite of all the things pointing towards an event, it may not happen. So if we keep our karma good, if we keep our ethics good, if we keep our morals good, then the zodiac is most supportive, especially in auspicious events happening in our lives. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation from me, please reach out to me at the link given below. Until some other time with some other video, this is your friend astrologer and guide Irfan signing off.